Hi, I'm Christie, the Motive Guide, and in this video, I'm going to give you a guide to the Enneagram Type 1. Maybe you've taken an Enneagram assessment and it came out with you're a Type 1, or maybe the Type 1's in your top 2 or 3, and you're like, well, I just want to dive into that a little bit more. Or maybe you have a family member or a coworker, and they're like, I'm a Type 1, and you're like, what does that mean? Well, you're in the right place. This video is here to give you a quick overview of the Type 1. So the Type 1 has a couple different names. It's called the Reformer, or the Perfectionist, or the Moral Perfectionist, or the Principled Reformer. Those are some of the names that I've seen number 1 go by. And they're called the Reformer because they have this passion to improve their work or their home or the world at large. Most Type 1s do have a strong sense of justice. In fact, they are in the gut or the instinctual center of intelligence triad, which there will be a whole nother video about that. But one common characteristic that those types in that triad have is a strong sense of justice. So most Type 1s do feel this strong call to make things right. Another way you can see this reformer characteristic is in the way they treat mistakes. A lot of ones will say, hey, I didn't go looking for the mistakes just found me. And they feel like this personal obligation to fix the mistakes. And a lot of times they feel like I'm the only one that can do that, so I'm going to fix it, right? Another reason for the title of perfectionist is they do have this desire to make things better and even to make them perfect, or they feel like they have to be perfect themselves. Now, this perfectionistic term or characteristic can get a little tricky with Enneagram assessments or tests because most ones don't feel like they're perfectionists in all areas of life. And again, where this perfectionistic characteristics can come out could be just at work. Like at work, they are very perfectionistic and it has to be just right. But then they get home and they're like, I'm not going to do that. My home, it doesn't matter here. Or, maybe the home is the area that they're very perfectionistic about, or with their family or kids or volunteering. You can see my point here. It doesn't necessarily mean they're a perfectionist about all areas of life. So sometimes that line of questioning can throw people, right? This characteristic of being perfectionistic could show up in some different ways. One of the ways that it shows up is not delegating, right? Type 1s can have a hard time delegating things because that person's not going to do it the right way. I'm the only one that can do it the right way, or I'm going to do it better than they are, so I better hold on to that and do it myself. The perfectionistic characteristic can also show up by being super organized and super structured, or they can be critical about others. They do have high standards and that wasn't perfect. That wasn't the right way to do it. And so that criticism often shows up and comes out towards others. The next thing I want to talk about is the core motivations. So for any type, what you want to focus on, first to find your type and first to personally grow, you start with the core motivations. So the core or the basic fear of a Type 1 is being bad or wrong or even corrupt. So they're always trying to avoid being bad or messing up or making a mistake or even perceived as being bad or wrong. They're always trying to avoid that. They're striving super hard to never make a mistake or anything that might look like a failure. They might even get angry or hold a grudge against someone or avoid people or places or situations that are questionable. Like, yeah, that place is a little sketchy. That person, I don't know about their morals. So they can completely avoid those people or places. On the flip side of that fear is their desire. So the thing that they're always running after and want to be is they want to be good. They want to be right and a person of virtue. So this desire can have them working really hard to live up to those high standards, right? And they want to make sure other people see them living up to those high standards too. So sometimes this desire can help them or leave them feeling like they're the only ones doing the work. Why am I the only one working this hard? Why doesn't anybody else care about how it's done? It should be done right. Why doesn't anybody else feel that way or care about that? And that can be super frustrating to them as well. Another thing that they might think is, why am I the only adult here? Why isn't anybody else responsible? I feel like I'm the only adult on this team. Everybody else just gets to goof off, and that's okay, and I never get to. So those are some things that one might feel. The ones have an inner critic. Now, a lot of different types, a lot of us can struggle with being self-critical. But for the type 1, they have a inner critic voice that is super berating to them. It's just constantly hard on them specifically. So that's something that we don't always realize. Their inner critic is so hard on them, and then it sometimes naturally flows out and becomes critical of other people. So you can see, because of those reasons, why their core weakness or vice is resentment. This resentment is first aimed at themselves, and then it does spill out to others. So, and hopefully it makes sense. Like, when you have such high expectations of yourself and then the world around you, and people are people, and you yourself, you're a human, you don't always live up to those expectations, right? So when this happens over and over again, that can quickly become anger. But for the one, anger is bad, right? It's something bad and something you shouldn't do. So they don't want to be angry. So what that anger manifests itself as is resentment. And they can, like I mentioned before, hold grudges or just be resentful, have this inner seething against other people and situations. Next, I want to talk about the message that they tell themselves. So all through growing up, a message that their superego has been telling themselves is, you're good or you're okay only if you do what is right. So that's kind of on the record player playing over and over again. You are good or okay only if you do what is right. And what their heart is longing to hear instead is, you're good. It's as simple as that. Ones, let me tell you today, you are good. You work so hard. You are good. In fact, some great things about a one is they're honest and they are people of integrity. They're great to have on teams because they're organized and they bring that structure to the team. They're detailed people and they can help so many people that aren't detailed. They're hardworking, they're responsible, and they're consistent with all of that. So ones are fantastic people and they're great for all those reasons. So some quick areas of growth for a type 1 would be take time to relax. All the ones are going, oh, I don't want to hear that. It's so hard because there's so much to get done, right? But try to take time to relax and realize the work will get done eventually. You're going to have to let go of some of the details. Yes, there are things that are super important and have to be done a certain way, but there are other things that you can let go of. And you can let go and give them to team members or family members. So try to rely on other people a little bit more. Another thing that you can work on is recognizing the voice of the inner critic. And when you recognize that voice, realize, wow, that was really harsh. Like, I wouldn't even talk to my dog that way. And when you start recognizing that voice and how harsh it is, you can start to balance that out and improve and let go of things a little bit better. And most of all, type 1s, an area for growth is to know that you are good, you are working hard, and you are valued by others. So I hope this video has helped you to get to know a type 1 a little bit better. If you're a type 1 and you want some help with growth, we can do 5 sessions that take a deep dive into your type 1-ness, and we'll look at areas of growth, we'll look at levels of health, we'll look at paths, we'll look at wings, childhood messages, all those different things in the attempt to work on those ruts that you get stuck in, recognizing them and growing out of them. Maybe you're still not sure about your type. You're like, yeah, after watching this video, I know I'm not a type 1, but what type am I? Well, you can go to my website and I have a free assessment there. You can take the assessment, but I really highly recommend booking a typing session where we can verbally process the results of your assessment and we can firm up what your main or dominant type is. All right, that's a type 1, and until next time, bye.